yes, here we are on Manga Monday. Welcome, one and all, back, including Luke Hollywood, who stayed awake for this one.
Right,
and thank goodness you ended up staying awake for this one and not last week. What we were going to do last week was Diamond in the Rough, a book that you really liked. You actually liked,
I like it.
More than me, maybe. So maybe it's better that we didn't do that yet. And eventually, when we get to some chapters that are a little more manageable, we'll probably shove that onto the regular show as well. But we have a new book. A new book came out.
Hot off the presses?
It's a weird deal because hot off the presses, it just was a weird deal because all the chapters came out Friday. It threw me off. It really did. Again, I even was looking to see if chapter 2 came out this week, thinking that it wasn't a Sunday release deal.
But you didn't read it on Friday. So
I know, but I'm saying just because it came out Friday, I thought that it was like, okay, they're filling in all the days. We might be getting something else, whatever.
Oh, my goodness.
But we'll see. We'll see what we think about it. But before we get into that, let us remind you that you should go over to Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us. We'll follow you back 100%. And then you can let us know what's going on, all that. Also, I'm going to say it right in the beginning. Please, if you listen to this and like the show, please rate and review it. We still haven't gotten any more ratings as of now. And I'm like, oh, well, there you go.
Nobody's listening to you,
that
Jim.
Does help.
Jeez.
I'm not going to force anybody. And you don't have to write anything. Just hit whatever star you think. That's fine, right? Like, we like the writings,
we
too.
Like the
that's
readings.
Fine. Yeah, we do. Sometimes. When it's not maybe a new chapter that we don't dig. I'm just saying. Also go to our Patreon at patreon.com/WeirdScienceManga, where you can get 14 episodes in advance of this Manga Monday show. This one coming out right on the feed. We still do that. And that's something that we try to do to be nice, right? We're not going to bury the new stuff. We want to get this going, especially because we want all of the other chapters, if it's something we like, to be on the regular weekly show.
Especially when I'm awake for once.
That's true. I mean, really. And also, if you go over to the Patreon, you get our Manga Picks of the Week podcast that comes out every Tuesday, where 3 of that week's chapters are featured in a spotlight type episode. And so you could get everything, including then the next day on the regular feed. We have our weekly show. Luke.
Very weekly.
Exactly.
The kids keep on coming.
We are here to talk a little musical manga.
Oh, musicals.
Maybe, right?
Ooh.
I mean, when I'm
very
thinking like
musicals in this musical manga, I must say that. Jeez.
And with that, it would be middle school, deal here, not high school musical, middle school.
I wish
musical.
it was high school musicals.
Yeah, I do too.
We're all in this
actually
together.
By the end. I mean, really, status quo. I mean, we'd have all of that, but we are, and I'm telling you, you start off right off the bat where you have something in every new chapter. You want to think, okay, this is the next One Piece. It's 1,000 chapters, right? This is going to have 8 million volumes. I think that one thing right off the bat is that you need to have a name that's going to just roll off the tongue.
Nobody's going to be like, hey, PPPPP is where it's at.
I'm telling you, P.
Now, what way do you say this?
P. Why not just call it P? I don't know. But with that, I start thinking there, and I'm like, okay, there are 6 other family. Is that it? Why is it PPP? But maybe they're not including. I don't know. It still doesn't make sense.
Loki's big day out.
Why not call it, roses on the piano and tulips on my organ? I don't know. I'm not supposed to get crazy here on this podcast. But with that, you want to have, everything has to fall into place to get, a One Piece. You're already in an uphill battle with PPPPPP, right? Already. And then you go into it, and we'll see.
It's a little goofy.
Yeah, me and you are not really sold so far on this, which, there's been times we haven't been sold right away. And I'll mention 2 of them since we started. I Tell C and Candy Flurry. Where did they get to? I mean, I'm not going to say that we're, the be-all, end-all of predictions or things like that. But, yeah, there is a problem here. Hopefully, the next couple chapters as we go through this and it continues on might rectify it.
Yeah, we always say it all rides on chapter 2. And once again, it all rides on chapter 2.
It does. Now, when we say that, we usually say, though, that the chapter 1s that we really they establish strong character work so that we can go to chapter 2 to figure out the story from there. This doesn't really do that either. It feels generic. It feels like there's something missing, and hopefully when we talk about it, either we can decide that something isn't missing, or maybe we'll decide what it is that's missing. Maybe that's my interest. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
But what are we talking about here?
Yes, we are talking about the hot off the presses. Now, here's the thing. All right, so the Twitter official Twitter person, the manga on their Twitter, they say that it's pronounced PPPPPP.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's like or PPPPPP.
Even if that's like, what's your favorite manga? PPPPPP. It's like one of your old emails. What, I have to pause with XO at the end?
XO,
thing is,
XO.
That's too much. Because with that, I know that if I said, hey, that doesn't tell. I mean, what does One Piece tell you unless you're actually in it?
Well, this tells you nothing. This is
My
letters.
Hero Academia is a little different because you get Hero Academia. You kind of get a little idea. No name is going to give you everything, but this gives you nothing. Nothing to have it. PP. Oh, really? Well, the bathroom's, 3 aisles down to the right. I mean, what do you go by that? Anything else? Because you said there's not much.
There's not much. You said that the author, the manga Mapolo 3 is all we have for the name.
I like that name. I'll give you that.
Mysterious. What happened to Mapolo 2? That's what I want to know.
Don't ask.
Oh,
He's
boy.
not going to answer. So I'm telling you that went. Things went wrong there. That's what happened.
Something crazy. Apparently, they won an awards. That's what you're telling me. I don't know much about that.
Yeah, that's what I heard. They won a one-shot award from Shonen Jump.
Oh, okay.
What did I do? Did I do all the research? I actually looked it up because when I went to tweet it out, it's like Mapolo 3s, this and that. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. What is So I looked into it, and they ended up winning a one-shot award where I tried to look. It was something that was not translated into English. I had the plans. If it was, I was going to read that one shot for this to see if maybe that was really
that
good.
Would unlock that. Sometimes that cracks the code.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought that maybe it would be like, oh my God, Luke, this one shot was so good. We just have to relax here, and this will get to it. But it didn't look like it was anything translated. And I even looked it up to see if there was any sort of reviews or whatnot. And the name of it, which I'm never going to remember, it was in Japanese and whatnot.
We can barely remember the name of this one.
I know. It was similar to another thing that's an anime that kept popping up. So I couldn't really find much on it. Anything else?
Yeah, so it was first published, on Fridays. And now here's the thing. It was published on the Fridays, as we said, early this week in Weekly Shonen Jump issue 42. And the reason for that early publishing on Fridays was because today, at time of recording, on Monday, whatever day it is, the 20th and the
20th, yes.
20th of September. It's different for you and me because we're in different time zones right now. Oh my goodness.
You might have just reached the next day.
Whoa.
We're not that different.
Living in the future.
It's not like you're there on Pluto here.
I'm in Ireland.
Yes,
there you go.
Are. It's
worse. Oh
worse.
Boy. But it is Respect for the Aged Day in Japan. So
better watch yourself.
All this old people music is finally coming.
That's not respect.
Full circle.
Now, it's funny though. You say that. Like, what does that have to do with Sunday? That's when we were going to come out, right?
This is a national holiday, so this is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a national holiday. I mean, they have like a national holiday, so the July 4th doesn't mean things don't come out July 3rd. So here in the States. Or you have Drinking Day?
But it's like,
that's every Tuesday.
That's every day.
Every day. But it's a weird deal to actually.
But isn't it because in Japan they're ahead of us? So it's Monday.
It's still Monday.
Yeah, but it's like the middle of the day.
You're saying they're ahead of us. They still have a full Sunday that they go. I know what you're saying, that they would have it, but why not just put it out Sunday then for us? They're still doing it their way. Did the
magazines come out on the Sundays?
No, I guess it would be Monday, would be Sunday, but just put it as Sunday and have it regular. I don't know what they're doing.
Oh my goodness.
Who knows? Because with that Mountain Day, Old People's Day, keep track of it. They end up having those. So we got them on Friday, which again, since we started, that was the first time I've seen that. we'll usually skip. I think that this is because we just have Mountain Day, something along those lines.
Pretty close.
And I think that, they're like, well, we can't skip full weeks again. I mean, so we'll just put them out on Friday, which was cool, actually.
And it's cool that we're not skipping any weeks.
Yeah, that's what's better.
Because usually when we get these early chapters, you expect that next week we're not getting none. So then it's extra long to the next one.
Yeah, and you don't get that, so you just get a couple days extra to wait. But
I tell you, it threw me out. I know, you did a lot of reading this weekend. It threw me out of loop. I was reading last week's chapters with this week's chapters. I'm all out of whack. I can't get. It's going to take me a week to get used to this. Jeez.
And it was funny because remember, before I saw anybody say it, I told you for some reason I always go to the back, and especially on a Manga Plus or whatever. But even in the Shonen Jump, when you pull up the chat, I always pay attention to when the next one's coming out because I always think that I don't have the scheduling right of some of these. I'm still trying to get it.
You just want to see what's
right
canceled.
Away. Yeah, and that too.
Yeah,
I want to see if anything's been weird canceled or switched to every other day. But I do end up having, remember when I messaged you right away, I'm like, hey, they're going to have a Kaiju number 8 the next week. And that was weird,
you were hot off press.
And then right away on this, I said, for some reason, it's saying we're getting these on Friday. What's up? But it was kind of cool. Kind of a neat little thing. But again, though, it was weird for this to premiere, but then it was on a Friday. It really threw my mind off. Anything else?
That is it. No musicals yet. Although it could potentially, with these pianos.
Seriously, why not? It would be pretty cool. I don't think it's going to last that long. I hate to be a Debbie Downer here.
Oh, my goodness.
Or
that's
a
not what you said in the comments.
Nancy.
Oh, jeez.
I know. In the comments, I'm the second comment on this. It is an interesting start. That doesn't mean it's good. I'm just
very
going for the pluses. It is interesting. But it's chapter 1, Mediocre Lucky.
Oh.
This one's called. And you go in and really, I do appreciate a easy to remember name for our protagonist, which we do get.
Handy.
Okay, you start off with the color pages, and you get the concept that 7 kids were born. Now, a lot of people even said right away, boy, right off the bat, it feels like Umbrella Academy. That sort of thing where you have all these different siblings. And no, there was just all these siblings. But the thing is, with that, you got a lot of diverse different characters that were interesting. The problem I have here is we start off with the idea septuplets were born. They all love piano, all 7 of them, but only 6 were good. And we have to deal with the guy who isn't, right? Right away, you're like, really? This is what I'm dealing with. But he comes off, you get the idea. Okay, underdog, plucky kid.
Absolutely.
His name's Lucky. Even in the little deal, before you even know it's him, the blonde-haired one is him on this first page, and he's smiling. He is seemingly a happy guy, but to the point where he better start reacting to some things around him because people are really taking advantage of him and stuff like that. But when you go in and you have this set up, a really, really cool, cover spread page.
I love the spread.
Right?
Yeah.
And even there, where you see Lucky, who's going to be our main character, he's the only one facing forward. He's reaching out his hand at us. And he seems like, okay, I can go with this. Seems like one of them punks in the school shenanigans that's always trying to untuck his shirt and stuff, right? Then you go, and the first thing you get in this, and it's such a weird deal, besides a page with PPPPPP, you get our main character saying, I got a poo.
Great.
All right, well, what's going on here? Well, why are you starting off with this idea that your main character has to go take a crap and go with it for a couple panels as you start throwing stuff at us and him? Hey, you want to go to the arcade? Hey, what are you going to do next year? Hey, are you doing this? It ends up where it's off the wrong foot right away. You know what I mean? Like right away you're thinking, okay, and this is, again, you only can make one first impression.
And it's a
unfortunately.
bad one.
And if it's not going to be what you want to have, if this is a goofy deal, a gag manga where all of a sudden, we know more about his toilet habits. Is this important enough to have it right away?
Is this supposed to make him likable? Because it doesn't really do that.
Yeah. Is this, is this supposed to be like, oh my God, look at him. I poop too. Just like him.
I can't play the pianos, but I can go to the toilet. There you go.
It's like when I broke my wrist when I was playing hockey back in the day, and they put a cast on, and the doctor said, are you okay? And I said, well, doctor, am I going to be able to play piano after this? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. And I'm like, that's crazy because I couldn't before.
And then the doctor kicked you out.
That's such an old joke. Did I ask you if you have Roses on the piano. But yeah, then you even had the idea, hey, Lucky. And then the narration is very odd in this as well, where you have a narration that's really like sad sack type thing, but it's also at points seems not omnipotent, but kind because, hey, Lucky. And he's like, huh? Like he doesn't even recognize his name. But again, that might be because it's a false name. We know that he's not going by his family name, but we don't get enough. But he does end up like, huh? Like he's not used to it.
It's like the narration and the sad sack narration in the boxes, and then outside we have happy-go-lucky goofball pooping and chatting with his buddies.
And in that, you'll have some sort of things like that a lot of times in comics or manga, where it's like, my life's the greatest, and then you see it isn't. Yeah. Or, my family loves me, and they're punching them and stuff. It doesn't get to that level.
No.
Everything is like, not enough.
It's like halfway house, right? It doesn't know if it wants to be like serious, because there's times when it really needs to be serious to really like convey fully what's going on.
You want to get behind Lucky, but you kind of end up like not really liking him.
No, because like every time you start the heartstrings start to get pulled, he does something goofy or he does something wacky, and you're like, what is this kid?
You said halfway house, and to me, it's right on, because by the end, it just all feels like generic. It all swirls together, and I'm hoping that we get more, because we're not really doing much in this first chapter. We're not really establishing more than the idea that this kid, Lucky, was part of a family that has 6, of these sextuplets that are the greatest piano players ever, because their father is the greatest piano player ever. And you don't really get past that. You don't really get the idea that Lucky wants to be with them or against them or there and all. By the end, we find out he does love the piano still, but I don't think it's enough. But even there, he's like, Lucky sounds like a dog's name, but that's me. Hey, you want to come to the arcade there, Lucky? No, I can't. I got to walk the dog and fix the roof. Oh, man, you're always doing the chores. Yep, that's how it is.
There you go.
And I'm like, okay, like, all right, what's going on? And even that when it's like 10 years ago, ... And I'm like, okay, we don't go right to what would be 10 years. Like, what is going, like, are we getting this narration from him in the future? I just, it threw me off. He says mom and dad got divorced. It's a weird deal how it goes. But yeah, he is now living with his aunt and cousin that will get Masashi.
The Dudleys.
And because he was terrible at the piano, his dad was mad and would berate him. His dad, again, not setting up anything good with this dad. No. There's one thing about, like, you could have set it up with the idea, and I guess this is what they want to do, but you could have set it up with the idea of, like, well, he pushed me aside, didn't pay attention to me, and you could still get the thing. But I'm not getting any feels when I'm just being told and not really seeing. And again, the siblings, the other 6 that are great at the piano, we're not even getting faces with them.
We don't even see. I guess you want to get the mystery, but like, show us a little, entice us a little. Wet our whistle.
Yeah. And it's the Otagami sextuplet pianists. They're the greatest. And he says, we're actually septuplets. We have 7 of us. The public just doesn't know. That's been.
Ooh.
But now, when could you ever have septuplets and hide the fact that one of them, like down the line, let's erase this one? It's a very odd concept with
Especially
that.
Especially when they all got goofy hair like this. I mean, if they wanted to hide it, just shave his head, because this lad's walking around like he's
Look at him. And this would have been, you have septuplets, especially for what seemed to be, the father's famous. The family's famous.
Big time.
The mother ends up having 7 kids. That had to have been reported
That's
right away.
That's got to be on the news. Like,
right? Because they don't know they don't know he's mediocre right away, so they'd have to say that they had Nope, not many people. What is it? The Duggars? I don't know. Isn't that family and then it's all the kids? With that, though, it's like just, I wasn't, one of them. They ended up just saying the sextuplets. But it's easy enough to just say that that's how they go around as, but it's almost like that's a hidden thing. And then he even doesn't use the name now because the mom and dad got divorced. And the way he's playing it out, the dad, I understand. The dad seems to be a real jerk. He lives on Jerk Street, right? And so,
exactly.
With that, though, you get these little flashbacks, these things like was that the good old days? Because he's now here with his aunt who hates him, hates his mom because the divorce happens and the only one that goes with the mom is Lucky. Now he gets thrown in because the mom then is sick suddenly. But now she's sick because she had 7 kids, but they seemingly had all grown years before
only
that.
After the divorce happened, years later.
All of a sudden, now is there something else? And whatever, but she's supposed to be in the hospital because of having 7 kids. I get it. That does cause complications, yeah.
She died of a broken heart, Jim.
Maybe. She died of mediocre piano-playing jerk.
Maybe.
But he's living with his aunt, and the aunt hates him because he caused the divorce between the mom and the dad, which is her sister, but loves the dad because she's a big fan. And now we got Harry Potter. It just reminded me of Harry Potter. My sister, Lily, like all that stuff with it, and having a Dudley figure. Is. Yeah, because he ends up doing these chores. But again, you're pushing the idea that the dad berated him, was not nice. So is this a better life for him with this aunt who hates him and makes him do chores? I don't know.
She's not doing the physical abuse. That's no good.
But and so with that, I'm not sitting there thinking like, oh man, he had it so good. It's a shame that he has to now live with this aunt or whatever. I really don't have much feels for either way. And he basically says right away to his cousin even, I'm going to move out after middle school. Wouldn't that be cool? Tells the kids at school, I'm going to move out and be on my own. You jealous, are you? But with that, are you getting anything from this?
No. Because we don't. He seems to be a pretty popular kid in school, or else he's just the weirdo who asks people to go poop with him. I don't know, maybe just put up with him in class.
They seem to like it.
They seem to like he does, for a guy who's
they're
so
the Toilet Boys, right?
For Toilet Boys 2.0. But for a guy who's supposed to be real sad, saying, "Oh, woe is me." I mean, he's living the Cinderella life, but it doesn't seem terrible, all things considered. And, he's not, a pariah or nothing like this,
He doesn't seem to be upset about it.
He seems to be, rolling with the punches.
I mean, just imagine where you got the Harry, and this would be the Harry Potter that realizes that he is from a magic family and is being kept from it.
Harry didn't have a good time in that little closet.
Harry was always upset, right?
You knew
scowling.
Harry didn't like that, but this dude's smiling.
Then he's like, I'm going to talk to the snakes to get the Dudleys. But he never, is it one of those things that you end up having, the idea he's so, plucky and so nice that we're supposed to like him because of that? Because I'm not getting anything.
Well, it's not like he's put on a brave face. It's just him being a goofball.
Until at one point that he says, I guess. At one point he's like, I'm not that carefree. Because he says even that people give him crap for him being too carefree. And then he's like, I'm not really that carefree after we find out about the divorce and how the family was. And that drove, the idea, first off, where he's thinking, I'm the one that caused the divorce. Yeah, no. You couldn't play the piano that great. Your dad caused the divorce. He's a piece of crap. He really is a piece of crap. And the mom couldn't take it and left. But all of his other siblings, the 6, went with the dad. But we don't know why, how,
we don't know their circumstances.
And one of my biggest things, yeah, it is. One of my biggest things is not getting to know these other characters. And I know that maybe somebody would say, well, adding 6 more characters in the first chapter, that might be throwing things off.
But when you're selling it as the sextuplets, that's what we're expecting. You know?
And what I need is, I don't really need even the names of them. I would have liked to have had a scene where you just see them talking and, maybe get the idea, okay, well, I guess we have to go with Dad. Like this idea of this divorce where where you want to think that the feels are, does Lucky miss his brothers and sisters?
We don't know.
We don't know. They're so generic. They don't even show their faces to the point where it's like he didn't even know them. That's what I'm getting because we don't. But wouldn't it have been a cool thing where Lucky's like, oh man, Mom and Dad are divorcing. Like, well, at least we'll all be together with Mom. And they go, no, we're going with Dad. And then he's like, oh no, what am I going to do? You only have a panel. Eventually the 2 of them got divorced. I was the only one who went with my mom. And you see this deal where it's such little chibi deal. You don't get anything from it. You don't know. Now with that, you then get the deal where her mom, he says, she was frail from giving birth to us. Her health deteriorated. So she was already having problems from the birth. Now she's sick. And it seems like she has something terminal. Maybe she has cancer. Maybe she has something like that, whatever, because eventually we find it. But again, this seems like it would have been something with some feels when we eventually get to that. But it seems forced on us to the point where it almost seems very transparent. Hey, you want to find out how bad? And the idea of it's Lucky, the most unlucky guy.
It's very surface level stuff.
Yeah, it's very surface level. And even when you get this deal where he's doing the chores for his aunt and his cousin, then he goes in, he makes some dinner for himself. I mean, a huge bowl of ramen. This is, again,
like a king.
This isn't and he makes it himself. That's fine. I'm wondering why the aunt and the cousin don't make him make the meal for them the way that, and then basically say, make us this grand meal, and then you have nothing. You have a piece of bread, right? That's the Harry Potter. But here he's just like, he's just minding his own business. He goes in, makes his ramen, and goes by the piano lesson room. And he looks in, and that's where you get the cousin, Masashi. We already saw Masashi earlier. Why are you getting it as a gag look? The art changes to almost make Masashi look like some sort of gag deal to say, what are you doing standing there? Mom said that she forbade you to tuck and do the pianos. Oh. And then he ends up like, okay, sorry. I was just passing by in the hallway, and then gets kicked, spills his ramen. He's like, oh my God. It's almost like he's got, thank you, sir. May I have another? I'm like, you want to have that? Get a backbone. Buddy, I'm not digging this.
This little kid's a punk. So, are we supposed to be like, at least he's holding it in and not fighting? But this little kid's a punk. He needs to be.
Don't hold it in. And even that, the idea where the way that it's a weird angle, the way that you are trying to get us to like this main character.
So we do not like him. At this stage, we do not like him.
It's because everybody's piling up against him, and I never get a real feel of what this kid, until near the end. Okay, when he goes to see his mom and says he still loves piano, you're starting to get something there, but we're already more than halfway through.
At this stage, he's a pushover.
Yeah, he's a pushover, sad sack, kind of, but we don't even know. He seems very happy to just be going through all these things. Yeah, and so with that, even with the idea of when he's at school, hey, what are you going to do? And this is that deal, that cultural deal of, and they have that in, England and stuff, at least when my mom would tell me about the idea. You have to decide, are you going to keep going university? But even before, you take that test. But with that, do you think that we should have had a deal where I wonder what my siblings are doing. They don't have to go through something. But they're like, what are you going to do next year? I'm just going to get a job and live by myself. You're jealous? I'm like, I don't know if I'm jealous of a middle school kid going and getting a job. It's just weird. It's just odd. But he goes to see his mom in the hospital, and there you see a keyboard.
Oh, and so the sound systems.
Yeah, and the sound system. Now, the weird thing is, I guess he usually sits on the, thing of the bed. I'd like him to have a chair. I mean, he might slip and fall on his mom, who looks like she's out of Sailor Moon with that hair. But even then, he comes in, you see that, and he's like, I don't want to be crying about things because, and then you see his mom. He picks up the piano, but he's not even doing anything yet. And then basically says he does still love the piano as he caresses it and maybe smooches it. I'm not sure. And then I love you even said as we were going through before it a bit, he's like, I don't want to cry, cries through this whole scene. And then says.
But even that, that could have been big feels because we're like, he's holding it all in. But then that's playing for laughs as well. He started punching himself, stop doing the crying, you dummy. You can't take this dude seriously.
So with that, his mom, I thought, she's in a coma. No, she's just drugged out of her mind. They even say, we gave her new medication. Wait, she is high as a kite. She is sleeping. She's not going to wake up. And then you're waiting for something. You're waiting for something to happen here. He starts playing and she wakes up when or he goes to play and he messes up but nothing. He just remembers them talking at some point. He also remembers as a kid that she used to like to sit and listen to him and his brothers and sisters before this divorce, playing the piano. And then he says, I'm sorry. Then he starts punching himself in the face because he's crying and says he's got to get home. He has this piano, he's going to play. He doesn't at this point. And he goes, right? He goes home. And then we don't really get much until he goes the next day to school, and that's where he says to his one buddy, who, we hardly knew these kids that are
one
hanging
of
out
the
with
other toilet boys.
Yeah, I don't even think this is the first one.
Different toilet boy.
Yeah, look at that hair. Very odd. Looks like a bunch of yarn. Ends up saying, hey, you're not going to high school. He's like, nope. That's where he's like, that's the thing. You jealous? You jealous I'm going to live on my own? And then you end up having a girl say, that's right, Otagami. That's his family name, and he's taken aback.
Otagami.
Yeah, and he's the Otagami. And she's talking to this girl. You don't even see her face yet. Yeah. And it seems like everybody in this whole book, if you're not, it's almost a visual of the Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. Like you're not getting anything.
They got the mystery face.
You have two gossip girls. The one girl has one eye.
Oh,
I'd
no,
be gossiping too, right? Keep your eye on the prize, girl. I'm telling you, I'm sitting there like, what? And then he's like, oh my God, is she talking about me as if this blows his cover? What's the worst that's going to happen? If you thought that he was embarrassed by being called mediocre over and over by his dad, or he doesn't want to play the piano because it's such a big deal, he's been playing the piano to his mother. Mm. And so when he goes to this,
which ain't exactly, it's not like in the middle of the street.
But he's still playing. And when he hears this Otagami, what is the worst thing? I'm saying just overall, if you found out right now, like I'm sitting here and right now I've been telling you my name, you find out that I'm Paul McCartney's son.
Whoa.
Would this really change anything? I mean,
maybe old people.
Maybe you'd ask me for a loan because Paul has a lot of money. And I said, listen, my dad, Paul McCartney, he's really stingy. He don't give me nothing.
Oh my goodness!
Maybe he'd ask for an autograph. I don't know.
You played the drums. What did he do?
Yeah, really. He played he actually played every instrument because he's a genius. But
wow.
Mainly bass in the Beatles. But you end up here where what would happen? Otagami, yeah. What are you doing answering that? Oh my God, you're an Otagami. Okay, well that's cool. I mean, what would happen? He's so upset about this. I wonder if, oh my God, they think that they know me. And he's like, oh, no. Maybe it's just because they're famous and they're abroad. I wonder what they're doing. But real quick, nothing with this.
This is a much like, for me at least, I was a lot more interested in what was going on with the mom and the piano than just rando in the school. I don't think we needed to jump to this,
No. Well, you get the girl. And again, by the end, this seems very, like I said, it seems very transparent. What you're doing is you have to set up the concept of visualizing music. You have to get the idea that music's so well done. It paints the painting in the mind.
Like for a medium that doesn't have any sound, and like this is a good way of portraying what the music does,
right? And with that, it's confusing at first, but then it's explained. But I think it's done in a weird way because you end up with, Lucky, and he looks like he's doing stuff. And again, everybody seems to like him. Keep up the good work. See ya. He's got I get the idea, though. Really, he's doing everybody's homework. That pile of papers.
Well, that's pushover again.
That's what I thought. But he's just kind of carrying things like, hey, and he hears the musical notes and looks, and then as he's going to go up the stairway becomes pianos, all of the keyboards there, and it looks like it is a procession, like in church. But right away, you don't understand what that means. It takes a couple pages to explain that this deal that is being played on her phone, and again, almost playing off the idea of this is even so good that just playing off that speaker on the phone is so great. But I'm like, phones are pretty good nowadays.
They have the high quality speakers.
When the girl ends up, and we'll go forward, when the girl ends up saying, they end up saying that this was a piece that was played at a coronation for the king. So that's why you see that scene, like he's being there. But without knowing that, I'm like, what the heck? Also, she says right away, and this is where it's all forced. What is this girl? A witch? What's this black magic that she says? I mean, I'm telling you, I'm playing, Beck. How about I'm playing Run DMC, My Adidas, right? You walk by me in the hall, and I go, hey, you could see those Adidas, couldn't you? You'd be like, the heck are you talking about, you weirdo? Because she says...
Also, if anybody starts playing Mozart in the middle of school, I don't know, I'm walking the other way. I'm not dealing with this nonsense.
I mean, seriously, it's Chopin or nothing for me, right? You end up where, and I like to call him, chopping. you end up where she's like, it's Mozart's K537. Oh, you saw palatial steps instead of normal steps, didn't you?
I saw what?
No, I didn't, crazy girl. What are you doing? What sort of demon did you eat to become this nonsense? I'm telling you, call Ayakeshi ninjas. we got troubles here. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I mean, this is a moment. Also, I don't know. Her proportions are way off. There's something wrong with her.
It's the hair that throws you off.
Yeah, really. And then, then says those palatial steps don't exist anywhere in the world. In other words, it's a fantasy. And I'm like, you're explaining too much to be natural dialogue now. My eyes are making me rain. I thought the idea that you're explaining this over, and then keeps going. I wonder how you can visualize something you've never seen through music. A performance where you can see fantastic scenes, like in a movie, is sometimes referred to as visual music. Okay, that's fine. The best is later when we get this again from an important person in this. Mm-hmm. They call it something different. I mean, like, really? Like, what? Okay. I like that.
This is supposed to be like the status quo, if this is what we're going to be dealing with, like this, the power system, where we're going to have the visual music and everybody's showing off their new visual music with their piano playing. Is this what we're getting?
I guess. Here we go. But again, if you're going to, it doesn't even play out well. It really doesn't. Like, okay, hey, do you play piano? Yes. Well, that's cool. Off I go.
There you go. Scene change.
Yeah. And then he's just at home where the aunt now is busting through with Masashi, his cousin. They're off to the new school orientation. All that. We'll be at the Shibuya Music High School. I heard an amazing teacher, all this stuff. And the Shibuya, it's not in the works for old Dudley here. Masashi, he's got to take a test and he ain't going to pass. So you end up where, I love this too, a high school musical deal. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. I wish I was Troy Bolton. But he ends up like, I wish I could play piano every day. I wish I could. Oh, then starts crying again. Then punches himself again. I mean, he really doesn't like to show his emotions.
Or he just likes cry too. Jeez.
Yeah, it's true. That is a Cure song. Oh, really? Old people's music. You better respect the old people. It's old people's stuff. Yes. So they go and like, okay, well, back to the hospital. And you barely even know. I mean,
he's playing the piano every day in the hospitals. So, like, he can't play the piano.
He's got to play it quiet. I mean, even with that, get a piano and get some headphones or something. Or
play on the street. If this kid likes the piano that much, you get the keyboard. Go busking.
He walks in. His mom is awake. Now, again, she was just drugged out. Like, now she's awake, and they spell it out behind the deal of she didn't want to be on those bad drugs no more because she wanted to be there to talk to her son. And again, the time limit on this, she needed to talk to her son because she's going to die within 2 years. I'm like, 2 years? And then he's like, oh, Mom, are you okay? But the feels, again, are being told because the feels are the mom is doing this to talk to him, but she's in extreme pain.
I feel like the mom is the biggest gem.
She's the closest to a gem. She's the only one that's close. But when you get this after the fact of, oh, do you see she's not on the drugs anymore? She must be in excruciating pain, but you don't really get that. No. Lucky doesn't seem to know. Like, Lucky should be like, Mom, why aren't you on the medication? You must be in pain. But basically, she wants to say, stop saying you're sorry. He said it once in this, where he was leaving the last time, said, I'm sorry. But you didn't get why or what, but she says, you blame yourself for the divorce. You keep saying you're sorry. You keep saying you're sorry for being mediocre. Stop saying that you are sorry. And then goes, and that's enough, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the feels moment of, listen, you don't have to be sorry, Lucky. Don't be sorry about anything about you. And then goes where I think it turns the wrong way of going, I'm the one who should be sorry because I produced you and your mediocre butt.
I made you wrong. I'm like, okay, that's a funny way to look at it. Okay.
You know what? Here's the deal. You know what this reminds me of, but is not played like it? This is My Hero Academia, where he needed to be told.
Not all people are born equal, and the mom
needed to be told that he could still be a hero.
Oh, you can
Mom,
still
can
be
I still be a hero? I'm sorry. And he's like, that's not what I needed. Yeah, she ends up should just say, don't be sorry about anything. You're you. You be you, and I love your piano playing, and I think you should keep doing it. No, she's like, I'm the one who made you wrong. it ends up saying like, really? Like I am wrong? Okay, that sucks. And then almost to the idea that I like Lucky, like, oh, now I can blame you, you jerk. Like, why, Mom? Why? But even with that, the idea, you're almost waiting too to have this deal of there's 7 kids.
Yeah.
You lose track of the idea that 7 kids.
For something that's so big, and I mean, like, they at the front of the cover, it's the sex tuplets, that gets dropped immediately.
7 kids and only one. Our main character cannot play the piano well. Why isn't he saying to his mom, but Mom, why can't I play? All the other 6 kids, they can play great. They're famous. And look at me. And then have her say, no. You have it. I always saw you were the one who loved it the most. You're the one, don't play for them. Don't play for your dad. Play for you and play for me because I think you're great and I like what. And even say like, when I was always watching you guys play, because he brings it up all those times, I was only watching you because I saw how much you tried. They didn't try. And go with that idea. The idea of it came so easy for your brothers and sisters that they don't enjoy it. And I bet you they're not even having fun at all, even how big they've gotten, where you sit here, you do it for the love of it. And you kind of get there, but not like there's it feels weird.
That's all kind of in depth, whereas we only get the surface level behind it.
I was the one who screwed you up, but and then not even going with the idea that maybe this is the mom's way of motivation. Listen, it's my fault that you can't.
To kind of take the pressure off.
And then say the best way for you to make me feel better is to show me I'm wrong. And she says become a pianist, but she ends up just almost like just saying it.
Yeah,
there's no real connection.
I goofed it, my bad, and then that just makes him feel worse.
And also, it doesn't seem like he knows that she only has 2 years, which could end up also setting up, and probably will by the end, almost like a blue box. The idea I have to win nationals before the Chinatsu leaves, all that stuff. But he's just like, all right, because she's like, be a pianist, and then out of nowhere just pulls out brochures for schools and says money isn't any sort of problem. Okay, well, is it because you got a lot in the divorce settlement, right?
Maybe.
But if that's the case, why didn't you set him up with somewhere better to live instead of your
hospital bills?
The hateful sister he's living.
Why not just rent a place next door to the hospital?
I know he's young, but buy him.
Surely she doesn't know that he's living with Dudley. Jeez,
it has to. I mean, that's her sister and their nephew.
And Dudley's not very nice.
But yeah, it says you show them all, and even that it's like the people are like, she only has a couple of years left. Again, it's not even. It's such an ambiguous deal. It would be like, get this, I'm gonna have to do this pretty soon because my mom might die within 10 years, or she might not. I don't know. And then goes up, but it's so odd.
It's
the weird, ambiguous setup.
This is the pivotal moment when he leaves the middle school. And then he's going to either go to piano school or get the jobs.
She really needed to talk to her son. Ooh. Then you become a pianist. Show me you could become a pianist, even though you're mediocre. Like, thanks, Mom.
There you go.
Thanks a lot, Mom. I love it. Like, there's like my wife. Hey, go and do your podcast, even if you suck.
Nice.
You just show me that you don't suck as much as you suck. Thanks a lot.
I took the meds for this.
This is certainly not like you're at halftime of the big game. Like, hey, everybody, go out in the second half and don't suck as much as you did in that first half. They're like, all right, coach, I could run through a wall for you. You're so inspiring, you
don't
jerk.
Be pants.
Because I love the way you played the piano, she says. And then, like I said, where did she end up? She is bedridden, was pretty much in a drug-induced coma. She pulls out like 80 brochures
Here's
from musical
I prepared
high school.
Earlier. Bada bing, yo.
She's like, hey, by the way, I think that you should go here. And then you end up like, even with that, you end up seeing these like crazy little flashbacks, and they're only 2, and it looks like it's the aunt and this Masashi. We aren't going to allow him to play. Oh, my God. You just climbed a mountain there.
Whoa.
I mean, show the dad, show the siblings, show them doing that. But no, you see this just in your face things and like, I'm going to play that piano. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he's like, why didn't I listen to my mom until now? What?
I thought she was in a coma. She wasn't saying much.
She seemed like she was all drugged up. Who knows what she was saying then? He's like, Mom, should I play the piano? She's like on some whacked out. She's on morphine. She's like, I think that there's aliens into cats. And then he goes off. He's all whacked out.
Mom.
Thanks, Mom. I'm glad I didn't listen to you until now. But that's the thing. He's there. She loves the way he plays. But that's the best thing is your father thinks only the talented should play the piano. Prove him wrong. Now we get to something. Now we get to the idea of
the game plan.
The people is the idea. And that, but again, that's kind of in your face because that's, again, kind of pulled out in a little bit because they may have the money, right? And they're not going to go with the name, supposedly, seemingly not even the idea like, oh, I don't want to be, like Nicolas Cage could have went Nicolas Coppola. Oh, he went with Nicolas Cage, right? So, but you don't even get that from this. Like, he's like, I want to be my own. No, he's just, I don't know.
Just has a different name. That's it.
He has to go and pass an entrance exam. And again, you have a bunch of characters here that we really don't know. The one that's really in your face is this guy, Mr. Dada. And it's kind of a play even on the idea of, the philosophy and stuff like that and the paintings of Dada. I don't know. It just is thrown there.
He's got a funky
He's quite a character. I thought that it was Boy George, which is cool because I really do love Boy George. But the idea, you don't know anything about this guy. You don't know anything about him, but they're there. And, it's the typical tryout where they're all, stuffy and,
this kid can't play.
The minute, he must have a very specific way of playing. Because everybody just goes right to that mediocre. I mean, they don't even go like, oh, he's not that good. It's always mediocre. But while he goes to play, one of the pieces he chose, he ends up having Bach's, well-tempered clavier, Chopin's Etude, all these nonsense that I don't know. But they're like, what are you going to do
twinkle,
first?
Little star.
I'm going to do the Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So he goes, and this is what he ended up playing with his siblings. This is what his mom liked. And out of nowhere, he starts saying like, we played variations and had games with it. And we do this and do it different and do that and do it. But we don't know and you can't hear it. But you end up having him play that. And while that's going on, everybody, and he's imagining he's there with his siblings there as a kid. That's nice, but it's not well set up. But this hits Mr. Dada, who suddenly can't even drink his coffee.
Oh, no.
He can't drink the coffee right now because I don't know.
He is in the mind.
Twinkle, twinkle, little coffee. Get the heck out of here. And gets up and is in a trance. I mean, legitimately in a trance. Goes over to the piano. And then with that, you get a weird deal as if you're going with the idea that this Mr. Dada is seeing the things like the mom saw before and kind of takes the place of this dreamscape because then you end up having Lucky go, what is it, Mom?
if you turned around and went to the examiner, what is it, Mom? He'd be like, get out of my examination
Mr.
room.
Dada comes up and like, hey, Mommy, what's going on? I'm like, what are you talking about?
You're fired.
It's like Ralph Wiggum in any class he's ever in. And he's like, Mommy, I ate the paste. I'm not your mother, Ralph. But yeah, everybody's like, great, whatever. Mr. Dada, what the hell are you doing? But this guy stinks. He's mediocre. Oh my God, he played it weird too. Wasn't he weird? But that's the thing that Mr. Dada says. He actually is visualizing this, which we had before, and says, I felt it. That's what I want.
The music.
And then ends up seemingly, I don't know how this school goes, but I guess if one person, this is almost like the golden buzzer. You're going to Las Vegas. I don't even know how that. You're going to Hollywood because he ends up like, nope, I'm letting him in. And then ends up saying, they're like, what? Mediocrity. We don't let that in our school. And then he says, mediocrity forces people to fight using their life experiences. It's pretty fun. You hear their lives they're playing and it's authentic. Depending on their experiences and how they were raised, mediocrity can surpass talent.
Whoa.
And then you end up going and says, I ended up seeing it. I ended up feeling it. Is this what we call experiential visual music? Like it's a different deal. You add, okay, well, and I see Sonata, huh? But those kids were, because remember, that's what you ended up, Mr. Dada, in the weirdest way, didn't see a star twinkling. Mm. He saw his siblings there playing with him.
And he was in the scene, That's the weirdest thing. Like, he wasn't him, he was the mom. So he, teleported? Is this time
well,
travel
it's
with
because
the pianos?
the song was so great, but that's too personal a thing, and I'm thinking that he's dipping into that medicine that the mom was on earlier is what's going on. I'm saying Mr. Dada likes to shoot up the heroin or something, but he's like
underneath that hat.
And knows that those little kids even that was the Otakami family. What?
If they're that famous that they're recognizable as kids, surely ain't there one missing? I thought there was supposed to be 7.
And
Jeez.
how is this music of playing this different version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star that it ends up having these hallucinations? This is not seeing the music. The idea that when we first saw you end up seeing the coronation that music was based on, you get a little bit of a basis. But this of just, he's tripping. Somebody gave him mushrooms. That's why he put down that coffee. It was LSD.
What was in that coffee? Oh,
who knows? You want some, don't you?
Yes, please.
So you go off then, and you end up where Lucky is happy. He tells his mom, I made it. I made it into school. And by the way, my phone's blowing up. Oh, my God, it's my cousin Masashi, that jerk. He's cursing me on the phone because he didn't make it into his school. Oh, my goodness, isn't this great? High five, Mom, and then breaks her arm. She's very frail. You got to watch out for that. You can't high five a lady who's, sick like this. I just want to tell you. And then he says, thank you, Mom. I'm going to become a pianist. Just you wait. The mom seems very upset about it somehow.
Isn't this kind of like a grim ending when she's like, yes? And then
I think she's like, and then she's just staring at him, and they come in and like, oh, by the way, and it's instead of Gossip Girls, we got Gossip Nurses.
Gossip
who
Nurses.
are in the back. They're like, oh yeah,
2 weeks to live.
We up the drugs on your mom. She can't hear a thing you're saying.
But like the way they do like time passing and like, oh, now it's cherry blossoms. Is it like time for school and time for the mother's funeral? Yeah. Oh, jeez.
It's time to be a pianist. Luckily, you'll be able to play at your mom's funeral. Is what that's about. All right, Mom. I'm going to play the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Look at me. I'm saying if they came into this kid at the end of this, after all we went through, and they're like, oh, we don't know how to tell you this, Lucky, but your mom, she's dead. Well, I'm going to be a pianist. And he'd just run off. I don't think he has many emotions and probably would start crying a bit and punch himself in the face.
Well, like, it is a very, like, kind of, I wouldn't say dark, but kind of like uncomfortable ending. Like, it's unsettling at the end, that face.
Again, maybe the setup was she wanted him to stop saying sorry so that she set him up for all of these tests because it seems
you'd actually get into school.
Yeah, really. She's like, I just want you to blame the schools and not me. It also seems like they applied to a bunch of others. We only solved the one. Like he got turned down like all those times, and and then it ends to be continued. It's a wacky first chapter. Woo. I mean, it's not getting me any sort of feels of what is going on. Like, I'm not going to say that I'm going to be like, oh my God, I got to see what happens next. I'm assuming the girl who played the piano that we got for one page, couple pages, talking about the visual music, she's probably in that same school. I'm going to guess that maybe at some point there is a way that this Masashi, his cousin, ends up being able to get in that school as well. Maybe because of the connection to him. I don't know. But why go through this whole thing with him and not have him do it unless you're going to end up where, again, it's summer break. You go home and practice. Oh, no, I'm like the Harry Potters and can't do the pianos in the house. You know what I mean? Like, and it'll be like one of those, well, you better practice over Christmas vacation because if you come back and you didn't practice, you're in trouble. Oh, no, what am I going to do? I guess I got to play in the hospitals. I mean, one of the things, too, that's spelled out that he plays real softly because he has to play soft in the hospiters. Okay. All right. Is that going to be the big thing? He's the soft piano player.
So here's the thing as well. Apparently, in like when you're reading the sheet music, which we didn't get no sheet music here. Some musical manga this is. But when you're reading the sheet music, the P in the sheet music stands for soft. So this could be soft, 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 soft. That's what it's really called. I don't know.
It's like you on prom night.
Exactly.
And that caused problems then. It's causing problems with me now. I'm not, like, is it supposed to almost be like a shh, but it's a soft, 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 soft?
I don't know. Layers.
Yeah. Layers indeed. We'll have to see. It felt at points where things are just thrown at you and scrunched together. like there's poor transitions at points.
The flow is all over the shop.
The flow is all over. One point I actually was looking to see, like, wait a minute, are the borders black? Because it seems like we're going to, oh no, it's not a flashback. We're just doing things. I actually, when he went past Masashi in that practice room where I didn't even recognize, all of a sudden Masashi looked like a bird zombie. We said you start off with I got a poo. You have Mediocre thrown at you, and he's lucky as a sad sack, but also he has no spine. Also, I don't even get his deal. Yeah, he says he loves the piano, but the only way that we were able to see that is he hugged it, and
he loves it.
Just
Anytime
from
there was the potential for big feels, he walks all over it himself. He makes a joke out of the situation, or he's just a goofball, and it ruins it.
And even the idea of him playing the piano to his mom, I would have liked to have seen something where he feels a little guilty. That's the only place he ends up saying. And it doesn't feel like he's sneaking around to do that. I needed him to do something to show me that he really, even if he's mediocre, he really loves it. Like he's got to sneak somewhere. He has this,
and that would make the next scene with her figuring out his secret identity. That would make a lot more sense because he's not. It seems like he's not trying to hide anything right now.
No, he's not hiding. And when he goes to play to his mom, I would have looked. If it was me, I'd feel guilty. Like, here I am. I say that I go to see my mom every day, or is it that I want to play the piano every day?
Ooh.
I get both, but you never really get that either. And then at one point, he's just like, I wish I could play piano every day. Well, maybe you can. We don't know how many times you can go to the hospital, but really, and do you just play one song? Is that the problem? I don't know.
I think there's a lot that could be, like, there's a lot of potential in the premise, and there's a lot that could be done with the character work here. But every time that we have that potential, it's squandered by either just making a joke or just moving on to the next scene too quickly. Anytime something starts cooking, and we're like, oh, here we go, now we're getting interested in the hospital, we move back into something else that is unneeded.
I could have done with more of that hospital deal, especially while his mom was, in a drug-induced deal or having drugs up where he could have talked a lot of almost the idea he doesn't want to, let his guard down, but he's able to talk to his mom because he doesn't think she can hear. So he just, how that is. Yeah. When you're talking almost like a diary, but also when you're doing that. But we didn't get that. We didn't get the idea. Is he very sad that he doesn't see his kids? Is he upset and hates his dad? Is he sad about his dad? Is he angry? Is he nothing? That is just told to us and pushed aside as, hey, that's part of it. Let's go. And, so by the end of, you'll show them and play piano. I'm like, I really don't know them yet and the idea of that. And plus it's a weird deal. The idea, like, sometimes you have these sort of things where, like, you're not allowed to do something that everybody should be able to do. This piano deal, it kind of does get lost on me a bit of, oh man, what do you mean? They're saying you can't play the piano like a Mozart? Well, not many people can. You know what I mean? So it's like, you play mediocre. Go for it, buddy. And I'm like, I don't know.
A lot rides on chapter 2.
You know what rides on chapter 2 is whether I'm going to read chapter 3 is what's going to be, because this one has a short leash for me.
Oh,
I am not, and it'll be one of those where I'm going to just have to give it up. Say the next chapter's bad, and I'll just have to go by you until you tell me that it's good, and then I'll catch up. But yeah, we've read a couple new things, like a Dan to Dan. That's so much better than this, even from the beginning. So.
I would say, like, even going back to the more recent stuff, like we weren't so hot on Neru.
Yeah,
we were very hot on Red Hood. Well, but like we had a concrete, well, especially for Red Hood, we had concrete, not like for Velu protagonist and the mission statement. Even with Neru, we didn't know much, but we knew he had the magic feet and he could do the magic hands with the martial arts.
He's doing the crazy stuff in the
what
air.
Do we know from Lucky? He likes to do the booing and he's doing the pianos. That's all he's doing.
He does people's chores.
And he's a sad sack.
His family is famous, but
and it
he
seems
isn't.
Like everybody else that's connected to him, like the other siblings and the father and the mother, are a lot more interesting than him. I wish we were following anybody else,
I'm even thinking of the idea of, somehow they play it off. I don't know how you do this, but when he was born, his dad, who's the genius of the pianos, looks at all of them and realizes that one's not going to work. Or the idea that he was sent away, like the mother, I wish that maybe he was just sent away to like an orphanage and he doesn't know that they're that only because his dad wanted 6 kids and then he popped out at the end to make it 7, and like that doesn't fit the motif of what I want to go with.
One day he falls on top of a keyboard and he can play it perfectly.
And he can play, but then I don't know. It's just that idea. It's a roundabout way to get to everything about the mom, and now she's sick, and she's this and that, and I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see with this next chapter. We have a week to find out. We'll find out then. And then we'll see if we're going to be talking about it on the podcast. But maybe we're due to talk about something for a while that we don't like. A lot of criticism of our positivity. If the first time that's ever happened with me.
Oh, jeez.
But this one wasn't a winner to me. I'm actually even going to go down from what I told you that I was going to start with. The art's okay, but really, what are you doing? You're not really doing much. And the big wow moment was supposed to be, I guess, that stairway. Really wasn't a wow moment to me. I didn't think that looked that great.
I like the splash page.
It's okay, but there's not much to do. You just have a kid going around, and he's, doing chores. He's in school. He's in that. So overall, I'm going 6-8. This might be one of my, least favorite of the newer ones, but it can all change. It all can change in that next chapter. What are you going to give it?
I'll go 7.2. Not my highest score for chapter 1, but I think it's still better than Candy Flurry. We're pretty down on that. We always say it all rides on chapter 2. You know what I want? I want piano school shenanigans. I want the girl back, and you gotta give us something with them siblings. You gotta even let us see them. You gotta see how they react to Lucky. Like, to have them set up as such a big deal. If this is the type of thing where it's like they're like the end game, and we don't see them to the very end, absolutely not. We need something with them. We need something.
I would even go with the idea that you have the dad, and he's like, come on, you kids, let's get out there. And, like, there's no fun in it. And they're down, and then one of them just like, remember when we used to play with Lucky? And then the dad's like, we don't say that name around here. Like, that's enough. I just need something.
Give us something.
Something that shows me something.
Because that's where the plot thickens. That's what's really going to be cooking with gas. That is.
Yeah, and again, like, we don't know. Is Lucky's motivation, because it seems like his mom's motivation more, and he wants to do this for his mom, but is it to get better than them and beat them in a competition? Or is it get good enough so his dad puts him in the group? Or is it just good enough that he just is able to do his own thing? I don't know.
Right now, just playing piano is not enough.
A lot of times, you're not going to get all this stuff in the first chapter, but I really don't see a direction of anything that interests me right now.
Not even
but
one direction.
No, well, one direction would interest me. But they broke up. I'm sorry to tell you that. I watched a video the other day that just popped up in my feed for some reason that it was Harry in concert. It was like 15 minutes of Harry being hilarious. And I ended up watching. I was giggling. I like Harry. He's a gem. Harry really is a gem. So at least we have him there, right?
Great.
You didn't have, a gem in this book except the mom, maybe.
Maybe the mom. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're down
taking them
we'll
drugs?
See. Maybe it can. I mean, isn't that a gem? No, it's not.
No, you shouldn't be saying that.
Say no. Where did you learn that from, Lucky? From you, Mom.
Oh, no.
That's what we need. And she means mediocre piano. Because we have no idea if she can play the piano, actually. You know what I mean?
We don't actually,
that might be the deal.
True.
Like, she might be like, somehow you got my piano playing abilities, and all I can play is a couple things from Styx, right? Which would make her a gem.
But she cares more about the kids than the piano.
Yeah, she loved them. I think the dad didn't. The dad only cares about the piano. So we'll see. We'll see. Enough of us hemming in the hall. But yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks. And again, this is fresh off the presses. So it's going right up so we can tell everybody again. Go to our Twitter at Weird Manga. Tell us you guys are the goofballs. You told each other that you'd never get an hour out of this.
Whoops.
You swore. Also then go and rate and review the podcast, please. That really helps us out. And then as a extra deal, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/WeirdScienceManga, where you can get 14 of these Manga Monday shows in advance, some big books that are waiting in the wings there, and also get our Picks of the Week podcast that comes out every Tuesday with 3 of the chapters for that week. And I actually already told you what the next deal is, and I'll tell everybody this coming week for the Manga Picks of the Week is going to be Blue Blocks, Red Hood, and Spy Family. Are we getting off the boat, Luke? Are we?
No, we're still on the boat.
We are not getting off the boat, even though when I went and paged through it, I'm like, You're not getting a lot of boat backgrounds. It's a lot of fight, but I'm like, no, you get some feels, though. You were right. You were right. You get some feels. But those will be on the picks of the week. And what the heck? Let me tell everybody what.
Oh, my goodness.
Some
the
of
whole
these.
enchilada?
We have it all set up. This week, we have a couple new books entering the weekly show, Luke.
Excited. Very weekly. There it is.
Elusive Samurai.
Oh,
Dan to Dan.
Again. Oh, yeah. Dan to Dan. Oh.
Yep. Tis I said, if we're going to go all the way through Candy Flurry, I might as well catch up on Elusive Samurai.
Yes.
Well, I didn't love it. A lot of people do, and it continues on.
It's
so
big.
Tis time for Torture Kaiju number 8, Witch Watch, Ayakeshi Triangle, Nehru, Way of the Martial Artist, Sakamoto Days, Undead Unluck, High School Family, and Mashal, Magic and Muscles. So we have all of those in what will be a test to see if we can get through those. I thought this last episode of the weekly show, very weekly. We had 6 books and still 2 out. I'm like, how did this happen? But again, here we go. We thought that this was going to be about 35 minutes, and here you go. So all that stuff, if you're not aware, and to throw this out there as well.
Oh, my goodness.
We have a mail this week as well. So we'll have a mail in that show as well. So you'll have to see who it's from.
Excited.
It's from somebody in the Get Fresh crew. Beep, boop. So you'll have to guess. But yeah, we'll be back also. If those things aren't your cup of tea, if you're like Mr. Dada and you can't drink your cup of whatever, we'll be back next week as well with another Manga Monday. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Luke, for joining me. And we will talk to you later.
We are fighters. We fight until we win. The sands